The role of the liver in Chinese medicine is to govern smooth flow of qi through the whole body, like smooth flow of energy and all of the emotions. So there can be a lot.
It's our main filter.
It's such a huge filter.
It's the cabin and the engine filter at the same time. It's literally like the filter that filters everything, right?
Yeah, it does filter everything. It filters toxins. It filters emotions. It governs so many things. Luckily, it is a robust, powerful organ. I once had a patient years ago who had some rare liver disease going on, and they ended up removing 90% of his liver, and they left 10% of it in hopes that it would grow back, and it did in 5 months.
Holy shit.
Yeah, like the liver regenerative capacity.
It grew all the way back?
Yeah. And the function was better,
dude, that's so
than
wild.
It was before.
That's so wild.
So not all the organs can do that, and these interesting things about the organs, like the heart doesn't get cancer. Other organs do, but it doesn't. Why is that? The liver can regenerate like powerfully. Why does it do that? Because it needs to. We've evolved that function and that skill to be able to take in things, metabolize them, turn them into, neutral substances, and then clear them out of the body. Otherwise we wouldn't be here. So the liver's job right now is probably more than it's ever been. The amount of toxins that we're exposed to is high. It's incredible, but it's also the emotions that we're talking about, the ones that don't get processed. So a lot of my teachers, my Chinese medicine teachers, a lot of, mad respect to them. All of them were born and raised in China, learned from different lineages. And then they're trying to teach this guy,
who's this Canadian kid?
Totally.
Yeah.
This, farm kid, Chinese medicine. And I didn't speak the language, and it was challenging at times. And so I have so much gratitude for all the learning, that the emotions are not bad inherently. But what they would teach us is the unexpressed, unprocessed emotions. That's where blockage comes from. And blockage or obstruction in Chinese medicine is that buzzword. If you don't have balance and flow in the system and it's stuck, that's where issues come from. Any number of symptoms, mentally, emotionally, physically, it means something's blocked, which is why I've always loved acupuncture, because acupuncture was designed to unblock meridian flow, unblock blood circulation. So when you do treatment, all you're doing is giving the body a little bit of support to unblock the places it's stuck. And that is why a lot of times when I'm doing acupuncture, people cry, people feel huge energetic shifts in their body. They feel 1,000 pounds lighter when they leave. The tension leaves their muscles. You've unblocked so much of that flow in their system. Their body can function again. It can breathe again. It can move energy and oxygen and minerals again and get it into the cells and the muscles. So it's taking all of the things that have been stuck, which are often emotional nowadays, and they get stuck physically in the system. So what I've come to see in the clinic over the years is that any emotion that's not been fully integrated, that creates an energetic blockage somewhere in any of these systems, any of the organs, whether it's fear, anger, grief, if it's not dealt with, eventually it manifests physically. I don't think I've ever seen a case like fibromyalgia is a good example. A lot of pain, physical pain. Every single one of those cases I've seen, there's so much suppressed emotional pain that it eventually has to express physically, because that energy is trying to find the light. It is trying to be resolved, and it will continue until it is. And as soon as you realize that, and the saying that was told to me years ago is, don't get rid of your pain before you understand why it's there.
Just letting that land for a second. Pain is the teacher. I don't know if you've spoken to him yet, but you absolutely have to. His name is Paul Chek. And he's taught that in his work for Chek HLC when I did it like in 2010. When the pain teacher comes, it's your opportunity to listen. It's your opportunity to learn something. So we live in a society right now where there's Band-Aids and, like you said, suppression, instead of actually allowing the pain to come through and teach us something. I mean, how many times could I have actually shortened my own pain curve if I wasn't trying to get the pain away from me?
Yeah.
If I was actually just open to the pain, a massive resource for this. Everybody please download this. The Untethered Soul, Michael Singer.
One of my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do it now. Like, it's so good, because a lot of what you'll be guided on in that, and I'm sure in a lot of your teachings is similar, is that the pain is actually a signal. It's coming through for you to learn something from it, for you to hear something from it. Mm-hmm. So if I'm having, for example, if I'm having liver issues, what am I not willing to face in my life? What am I angry about? that I'm suppressing or that I'm not sharing with my partner or with myself. Like that is a clear connection there, liver, because I would assume, and I wonder how you see it, does it start at the liver, or can there be, like you had mentioned the different ones, and I was actually looking this up before, the heart can also hold hate as well in Chinese medicine. Lungs are grief and sadness, kidneys fear, sinuses, as we talked about in the book, a stinking conflict, something that I don't want to smell.
Yeah.
Which I've dealt with and I will continue to deal with from love. It's like, all right, finally I have the path. But the main body filter is the liver. So do you tend to always start at the liver when you're looking at symptomatic expression? Does it filter down from there, or can you sometimes just go right to an organ and start to feel that and heal from there?
Yeah, I would say nowadays you can almost always go to the liver first. And even in Chinese medicine, they've known this for a long time. The liver disharmony, there's lots of different names, liver fire, liver qi stagnation, very common pattern because stress is what affects the liver the most. And it's usually the first organ affected by stress. Okay. And so that's where that blockage can come in. So an example would be, maybe somebody's under a huge amount of stress, any number of reasons, that starts to congest the liver energy. Maybe the liver function starts to, wane a little bit. It's not filtering as good. Then all of those toxins that you're taking in, known and unknown, they don't get filtered out as easily anymore. Then suddenly that starts backing up the liver more. And so you can see over time, both of those, like not dealing with the stress, affects the function of the liver's ability to regularly detox day to day. After a few years, 5, 10 years or more, even sometimes months, the liver is full of toxicity. And then it starts affecting other organs, because if you have a filter that's stuck, everything starts backing up from there. Now your digestion's off. Now your mood's off a little bit. You're a bit short-tempered. You're snapping at your kids or your spouse a little bit more, and you don't want to, but you can't help it. There's this like irritation in the system that's often coming from the liver being stuck. So things like milk thistle, and this is not prescriptive by any means, but milk thistle's an herb that's well known to be helpful for the liver, protects the liver, helps detox it. It's pretty mild. A lot of people can generally take it without much, side effect, and they can take it for a long period of time because it's not harsh.
But that's not a Band-Aid. That's actually something that's going to bring up more emotion to be dealt with.
Yeah, and so this is the key. It's beautiful that you're sharing that, is when you start working on the liver, anger will usually start to surface, or frustration. And that is often where people get scared, or they stop and they turn it back in and shove it back down again. And that's precisely the time to reach out, get support, work on what it is that's being held there. And, as I've detoxed thousands and thousands of livers, there's definitely been cases. I remember this one case in particular years ago. Her liver was on fire. Like with some of the readings I was doing with testing, it was so jammed up. Like it just looked like it was ready to explode. She was very grouchy. She said it herself. I am not a kind person. I don't want to be this way, but I'm just so irritated all the time. And I'm like, yep, your liver is so stuck. So we started working on the liver, but one of a key example was Epstein-Barr, which is what causes mono. She had got that when she was 15. And we were talking about it, and I was going to work on it with her and target the liver, target the viral piece, and help move that through and help integrate that. And when we started doing that treatment, guess what happened? 2-3 weeks later, she's in the clinic and she's like, Kevin, I am so angry. I think I'm going to kill somebody. And I was like, really? Are you like, oh my God. I was pretty young then. It was early in my career, and I was kind of a little bit scared because she was just like,
did you give her a pillow to punch?
Oh, fuming, right? And so we started talking about it, and I said, okay, how's this is coming up? I started taking the remedy you gave me to clear this virus in the liver. I've just gotten so angry, like I can't stand myself right now. And so I remember asking her, I was like, wait, how old were you when you had mono? And she's like, I was 15. And I was like, what was going on in your life at that time? She's like, well, I was getting bullied at school. My parents are getting divorced. And I was like, so angry. Oh my God. Oh, and so as I was working on the liver and that time capsule of like virus infiltration into the system and pulling that out, it pulled all of that like stuck emotion, the anger, all the unprocessed material from when she was 15 years old, brought it to the surface. We worked on it. We talked about it. We helped alchemize and transform a lot of that. And a few weeks later, she came in and she said, I wouldn't have said I was an angry person, but Now, the way I feel is so different. I was angry, and I'm getting along with my kids now. I'm not yelling at them. I'm way happier. I can't believe that I lived like that for so many years, because she was like 35 years old at the time. So that was 20 years of that stuck pattern, just building and building and building to the point where, then she was on antidepressants and she was on medication and struggling with all these things. And so, as we got all that stuff out of the way, she came off the medications because there was no need for it anymore.
How powerful, let's just give respect to our organs.
Yeah.
How powerful was it that her liver held 20 years before it finally waved the white flag?
Totally.
Oh my God, how resilient. And people are like, oh, be careful with babies. It's like, babies are so resilient. We're so resilient. But we do have to honor when the white flag is being raised. I wonder how you process the alchemy with her. I know somebody's thinking that right now.
Yeah.
How did you help to process that anger through the liver? How did you alchemize that?
Well, I think the first stage was just having a conversation of me tracking. Let's get curious. That's the other thing in medicine. If we can be curious in our lives in general, or as practitioners, as doctors, get curious with what somebody's sharing. So there she is, fuming mad, red face, angry, thought maybe she was gonna, come at me a little bit because I gave her a remedy that then produced this anger, even though that's not exactly how it works. And just doing a little bit of breath, coming back into presence in the clinic, and then identifying, 15 years old was a really hard time in your life. Interesting. Can you share more about that? And then she started sharing a little bit more, and then some tears came, and just even identifying where some of the pain point could be, or where there was an initial trauma, an initial blockage, on the mentally emotional level, that would clear a lot. As soon as we're aware of something, that energy can start to move. If we're not aware of it, it's not moving. And so that alone created quite an opening, and her just being able to share and me asking questions, drawing that out a little bit more. Then we did some acupuncture to help open the liver up a little bit more, calm the body, calm the immune system, calm the nervous system. I do think I recall, inviting her to maybe seek a little bit of counseling to dive into that specific time of her life a little bit more. Maybe some constellations work to really just unfold more of the care and attention that time in her life would need and require, and just bring more love to that place, and don't suppress it anymore. Just acknowledge, that was hard, and I did not get the support I needed at that time. Now you're 35 years old. You can get the support you need to bring love back to that 15-year-old girl that was really, really struggling in every way.
Check out some of the videos on this screen that are perfectly curated based on the video you just saw. Make sure you follow me, and I'll see you in the next video.